Hello and welcome to another episode of the Investor Financing Podcast. And on today's show, it's going to be exciting because we're going to talk about all about mindset, high performance habits, everything that we need as real estate and business professionals out there. So please welcome to the show, Christopher Dedeyan. He's a professional speaker and peak performance expert who helps entrepreneurs, leaders, and employees alike manage stress, increase productivity, and have more energy. He always gets his message across in a humoristic, charming, energetic, and passionate way. So welcome to the show. This is going to be a good one because this is what we all need, right? We all need this. So can you walk us through like how you had this real estate brokerage and then you realized you had a skill that you could help people, how you got into this space and how it evolved to where it is today?
Absolutely. And first of all, Beau, thank you very much for the introduction. Thank you for having me on your show. Definitely know that we're going to drop some massive value to our audience and the people that are in the real estate field and really want to go to that next level. So a bit like you mentioned in the intro, so I was a real estate broker for 5 years in a great region of Montreal in Canada, where I'm from. And as I was developing that skill and developing that business, I realized the only way I could go to a higher level is by hiring a coach and really working on my habits and my rituals as an entrepreneur, even before I do anything that has to do with the business. I had to take care of my mind, my spirituality, my body, and all the things that are linked up with my personal development. So as I was doing that, I started succeeding more and more. And as you mentioned, I realized that people from my office were coming to me and asking me questions like, hey, how do you do this? Why do you wake up at 4 a.m.? How do you work out so much? How are you able to do so many sales, X, Y, and Z? And as they were asking me questions, I was starting answering these questions. I realized the only way that I'm going to be able to support these people is if I really create a structure and I follow them in a weekly or bi-weekly basis as a coach or as a facilitator in some way, shape, or form. And that's how it kind of clicked up for me. Obviously, there's other things that happen within my life that I had an opportunity to go on stage. And then from that moment on, I realized that was my life's calling. And then from that moment on, I switched everything that I was doing towards, I'm going to become one of the best speakers and coaches out there. And I completely shifted. And to be quite honest, most of the people around me, from my mentors to the people that were in the brokerage company around me, they're like, you're crazy. You're leaving this, in a sense, safe, secure job or this business that you had built at a very young age, and you're going towards something that like we don't necessarily know about, or it's risky as a speaker and a coach. Well, once you know what's right and that's what you should be doing within your purpose, you just dive in with 2 feet. So that's how the journey happened in that sense. I
love it. So who's your like avatar person that comes and seeks you out because they need some help? And like, how do you first assess the situation? Like, can you give us the kind of framework of where you come in and how you help somebody kind of build these skills?
100%. So when it comes to my avatar or the type of client that I work with already entrepreneurs that are succeeding quite well. And they know that there's another level. So they're succeeding maybe financially, maybe in their beginning 6 figures, but they know that they could go get half to 7 figures, if not more than that. Right. So, and they know that there's something missing and they're trying to find it. Maybe they realize that, okay, they're succeeding financially, but their time management's off. Maybe they're succeeding financially, but their health is not there. Maybe their family life is not there. And they're just missing that 1 or 2 things that they need to do on a consistent basis to go to the next level. So that's usually the clientele that comes, sees me, and I help them go to that next level, not only by working on their business, but like I said, working on the person. I truly believe whoever you are as a CEO, entrepreneur, any executive position, first and foremost, you have to take care of the person. If you're able to take care of the person from the moment you wake up to all the things that you're doing with your habits and rituals, even before you step into the office, that will give you so much more success than actually going into the office and doing everything else. Because like we know, success, 80% is psychology and 20% is mechanics. We could talk about the mechanics until tomorrow morning, but if you don't have the proper mindset to put that mechanics in work in a significant way, you're just not going to succeed. And if you look at it, anybody that's in the real estate game towards, if you're a broker or an investor, you know that you have to be prospecting. You know, you have to be calling, you have to be networking, you have to be connecting with brokers, investors, people that are going to give you the cash. But if you're not in a mindset or you're not positioning yourself in a vibratory rate positively to do that consistently, then you're just not going to succeed. We know what the mechanics are. but everything happens between your ears, which is your mind. And what I teach is exactly that. And I teach them the biochemistry behind the mind of how to utilize it for their advantage so they could kind of hack that process in a way that's going to be more efficient and in a more creative and productive way.
All right. That sounds great. So where you said you wake up before, I'm an early riser too. What are you doing to kind of prep yourself for a day? What are some tips we can extract from you that like get you going and kind of, I heard you say, I think you said vibration. Is that when you're talking like that, you want to be energized, right? Because if you're energized, you're going to relay that to other people as well. And it's going to be beneficial for you. But what can we do? What are some primers we should be looking at doing for people that haven't really explored any kind of personal development or any of this space per se?
Okay. So there was several little questions within there. And I think the best way to kind of go about it and unpack that is I'm going to give you from A to Z what is my morning routine and how to break it apart. And then I'm going to invite your audience to potentially use some of those. Obviously, now that I'm going to tell you everything, it might seem a bit overwhelming, but this took me years to get to this point. So utilize what you think will be a great fit for you and then work towards that. Now, you did mention energy. Like I mentioned, like, hey, you kind of mentioned that, and it's a good way to bring it up. So there's this quote that I saw years back, and it changed my life. It was by Albert Einstein, and it says everything is energy, and that's all there is to it. Master frequency of the reality you want, and you cannot help but get that reality. This is not philosophy. This is physics. So when I heard that, and essentially it was saying everything is energy, and all you have to do is match the frequency of the reality you want, and there's no other way that you are going to receive that reality. So I'm like, all right, cool. That means we're energy. I looked into quantum physics. I studied it a bit more. I looked at the atoms, realized that 99.99999% of an atom is empty. Now, what does that mean? Everything's an atom. I'm an atom. I could touch myself. This table's an atom. This computer's an atom. It's physical. I could touch it. But if we're saying that it's almost like empty, 99.99, and there's 13 nines after the dot of empty space, it's not actually empty space. It's energy. So if that's the possibility, imagine how much energy you're putting out there in the world. Right now, brother, you are in Las Vegas. I'm in Montreal. I kid you not. If we do it right, our energy radius could connect to each other and we're hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of miles away, right? But that's the strength of that energy. So as I figured that out, I'm like, okay, how am I showing up every single day energetically? So this is what I do. I wake up at 4 a.m. every single day. As soon as I wake up, make my bed, brush my teeth, and then I go meditate. I meditate anywhere between 10 to 20 minutes. And the type of meditation that I do is Vipassana. So I just do a connection with my breath and then analyze my body, what everything's feeling. After that's done, I do a few stretches because I work out a lot. I do CrossFit. So after my meditation, I look at how my body's feeling. What are certain things that are sore? How can I unlock this, unlock that, and just feel how my whole aspect is going. Once that's done, I go into my office, and what I do is I look at my affirmations. I read my yearly affirmations. I read some other affirmations, and I read my I ams. So these are things that I am X, Y, and Z. I am X, Y, and Z. I have a list of that. So what's happening there is I'm changing my state and my story instantly. Even before I sit down, I'm saying the I ams. I'm already calling it into reality towards I am one of the greatest keynote speakers of our modern time. I am a phenomenal coach. I'm a multi-millionaire. I'm a phenomenal real estate expert and investor. I am one of the greatest personal development experts out there. Things that I'm already calling into my reality. So then my subconscious mind and my reticular activating system already knows what it's going towards. So that's what I do then. Then I sit down in front of my computer after doing that, and I do my gratitude journal. I write 3 things that I'm grateful for every single day. If you want to have more to be grateful for, look at what you already have. And everybody that is listening to this right now has so much to be grateful for. So write those 3 things down. Then I look at my agenda and I set my intention for every single activity of the day. Because as you guys know, as entrepreneurs, life gets hectic and life gets fast and you're just running from one thing to another. And you feel like you're kind of being a fireman, just putting out fires, especially if you're the CEO of a business. And throughout that process, sometimes you could lose the energy of like you're jumping from one thing to another and not necessarily knowing what you have to do within the intention of that activity, because every single activity has a different intention. So for me, in the beginning of the day, I looked at my agenda for today and I'm like, all right, first thing I had is actually I had a keynote presentation at Remax from 9 to 12. I'm like, what is the intention that I want for that? I want to be present. I want to be informative. I want to give them, let the universe use my body to get the proper information to the people that are there. Then a bit later on, I saw I have some other meetings, I have some other things. And then I saw I have this great podcast with Beau today. I'm like, how do I want to show up today? Right before our podcast, I had another meeting. So by me setting, even before the day starts, an intention for every single activity, subconsciously, my mind knows what the goal is for that activity and is going to guide me towards it. Because if you're calling a client, you're speaking to them a certain way. If you're calling a prospective client, you're speaking to them in a completely different way. If you're calling an investor, you're speaking to them in a different way, and you have different results and desires from each of those interactions. So you have to state those interaction and desires. So that's the intention. Then I have about like an hour at that point. It's probably around like 4:45 until 5:45. I have an hour to do my masterminding. That's the time of the day that's probably the most creative, the most productive, and the most valuable for my whole day. I'd rather take that 1 hour of high potential productivity than a full 8 hour of workday for me. Within that time frame, what do? I do not answer any clients. I do not take any emails. I'm not on social media. All I'm doing is creating. So in my regards within my business is I'm creating new content. I'm creating new stuff for my academy, my online courses. I'm creating my speeches for my executive Fortune 500 companies. I'm creating new lessons for my executive clientele. Everything has to do with creative. And the reason why that is because your brain is at a higher level of vibratory rates of alpha and theta, which is directly correlated with your creativity mind. So I'm so much more creative, I'm so much more effective, and it's easier for me to go in a state of flow. Now I'm almost done here. And as you guys are seeing, I could go on a rant. At 5:45, get up, go to the gym. From 6 to 7, I do CrossFit. Love it. It kind of disconnects me, gets energy flowing, and I have a huge importance. And I know that your mind and body is so correlated. So I take care of my body in that regards. So then go do my CrossFit. And then I'm back home approximately at like 7:15-ish. At that point, I sit down and read 10 minutes. I read something that's potentially more cognitive. So I read 3 different things at the same time, minimum of 3 books at the same time. And the thing that I read in the morning is something more cognitive, maybe something I want to learn more about towards it, like, I don't know, the placebo effect, brain cells or whatever, something more cognitive. That's when I do it in the morning because my mind is more fresh. Then I go jump in the shower, get ready. And then usually my first meeting or my first task starts at 8:30 a.m. So that's my morning routine in a nutshell, essentially.
You're listening to the Investor Financing Podcast. We'll be right back after this break.
Hello, Beau here, host of the Investor Financing Podcast. Are you a lender, real estate professional, or vendor that provides products or services within the real estate investing and business owner space? We are offering a few sponsorship opportunities to get in front of a highly targeted audience. If you're interested, please click the link below for further information. We look forward to talking with you. Thanks. Make it a great day. Yeah, that's awesome. I've been a morning person and I love the mornings. And you kind of nailed it because I find like I'm the most creative. Something about the mornings, it's hard for me to focus during the day as opposed to the morning because I get up and nobody's up. No, the phone's not ringing. I'm not looking at the computer, and it's like, I just enjoy them so much. And I feel like I can get so much done in the morning time. And I am 10 times more creative in the morning. And like, I meet with my marketing guy, and we meet at like 4:00 in the afternoon. And I really need to move it to the morning time because I'm at 4:00 because I start my day early. I'm kind of tired and I'm not creative. So that's kind of like what a good takeaway for me. Like, hey, his name is Bill. Bill, we need to meet earlier because this is when I could be, because basically I do a mind dump and then he takes my ideas and we implements them. He's my integrator, but that would make more sense just listening to that fact. Like, hey, maybe the morning time is the better time that we can work together as opposed to 4:00.
Beau, if you don't mind me jumping in here, 100% spot on. You have to be aware of what is your chronological natural timing and utilize that to your advantage. So for me, the same thing, everything that's demanding cognitively, I put it in the beginning of the day. Anything that's less demanding cognitively, I put it in the afternoon. aka podcasts like this. Like, I mean, for me, we're having fun and all that stuff. We're just riffing back and forth. So I put that at the end of the day. But anything has to do creative, marketing, strategy has to be in the morning. And if it does happen that sometimes for X amount of reason, it does happen, sometimes your schedule doesn't permit it and you have a meeting at the end of the day. So many times it's happened with my colleagues and some of my employees that we're having meetings like that, and it's 4 p.m. and we have to take decisions. And I'm like, you know what? I'm like, we're not getting anything done here. Let's reschedule it. This is like a morning problem, not an evening problem. And by just understanding that, it gives you that, like, allows yourself to diminish that cognitive pressure of trying to find the answer right now, allows yourself to sleep on it. Then there's a lot of great things that happen in your brain when you sleep to find that solution.
Many people that are listening and watching, a lot of them are real estate investors and business owners. A lot of them are, they are hunter gatherers, meaning they have to go out and find deals or find clients. So it's very prospect driven type of businesses, generally. And prospecting is tough, right? We have to get in the mindset of prospecting. What are some recommendations on like gearing ourselves up to like time block and do an hour of prospecting, and like how should we address that in our schedules so we can be most efficient and productive with that?
Okay. Love that. Thank you, Beau. So there was a couple of questions in that. First of all, how can I get motivated to do it? And second of all, how could I structure it within my agenda and time block it? And I'm going to be quite honest. I think every single business, there's prospecting involved, and you should be prospecting in certain regards. You call it marketing, call it sales, call it whatever. You have to bring in leads. If you don't have leads, which is going to bring you clients, which is going to bring you sales, then you're not doing your great job as an entrepreneur. If you're not making sales, you're not a great entrepreneur, just the bottom line, right? So in the business, like you said, in real estate, you have to have a lot of time to prospect. And it is something that demands a lot of effort. Now, we just spoke about this. You have more energy and you're more cognitively aware in the morning. So you should time block as much as possible the first thing in the morning. When I was a broker, I used to block the first 2 hours of my day for prospecting. When I mean block, it's not just have it in my agenda, and if there's other things that come up, I'll take care of it. I used to transfer my call to my secretary, and I used to tell her, you do not transfer anything unless like the end of the world is coming and I need to be aware of it. You just say, he's currently in a meeting, which is true. I'm in a meeting with myself, and I will get back to them in the afternoon. So by, first of all, diminishing every single aspect of, losing focus, it's going to help you get so much more in a state of flow. Another thing I suggest is for people to get into the ideology of what is the state of flow, study it, and figure out how to go into that. Because if you're in a state of flow, you're 500% more effective than when you're not. And there's ways to trigger a state of flow. One thing I will suggest is go pick up the book Flow by Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi. He's the one that kind of talks about it. He's the one that brought it in the forefront. Another person talks about it often as well is Stephen Kotler, great author as well. So that's the first thing over there. Now, when it comes to the previous thing to that, which is I think the most important, is how do I get motivated to do it? Because it's the motivation aspect. How do I go about it? Oh my God, I don't feel like it. They're like, oh, you know what? I'll do it in the afternoon. Afternoon comes, I'll do it tomorrow. Tomorrow comes, they're like, oh, it's Thursday. It's almost the weekend. I'll get it done Monday. So that prospecting, that is legit your green time, which is your money-making activity time. You're pushing it every single week, every single day, which is not valuable for you and your business, not helping the others. Now, the only way you're going to do it at a high level, what I've seen with my executive CEO clientele, entrepreneurs, and myself, is you have to attach the proper why and put the proper leverage of what you're doing. If you're doing something just because you want necessarily more money or X, Y, and Z, honestly, you're just not going to succeed. And even if you make money, it's going to be fleeting. It has to be attached to a strong why. If you got into real estate because, oh, you know what, I know it's a great industry and people make a lot of money, which is 100% true. But if you're getting it just for that, you're not going to succeed. Now, I'm not saying it's not good to get into any industry because of that. I'm saying what is the why that you're attaching to it? Now, let me just give you a correlation or a different example over here, Beau. If somebody comes to a doctor and the doctor looks at him and this person is overweight and obese, and they're like, hey, if you don't take care of your eating habits and your workout habits, you're going to die. And that person is like, okay, cool. Maybe goes in one ear, goes out the other. Doesn't necessarily change anything because that's his life habits and rituals that he's kept throughout his whole life to get to that point. If that same doctor says, he's like, listen, if you do not change your habits and rituals right now, when it comes to your overeating and your bad habits with that regards, he's like, the daughter that you have and you love right now, that's 6 years old, there's a high percentile of chance when she gets married in her 20s that another man is going to walk her down the aisle. The same information delivered completely different, Beau. The same information delivered completely important. Now, I bet you that second version, that person is going to be, oh my God, wait a minute. If there's that person is really like loves the family and loves a daughter, complete different experience. You're not doing it for you anymore. You're doing it for your daughter. You're doing it for your family. I guarantee you that person is going to do it at a higher level. So what am I saying here? Attach the reason what you're doing to a higher purpose. If it's a higher purpose, which most of the times you have to link it up with something giving value to your community, to your family, and so on, then you'll be able to go through fire to be like, I need to do this, because you have that strong why. And then you have to put that why somewhere so you can see it every single day so you won't forget it, because that why is going to make you go through the difficult moments, because as an entrepreneur, there's a lot of ups and downs. So that's the way I would break it apart, Beau.
If you were to give advice, general advice for somebody that's like, hey, try one thing tomorrow and see how it changes your day, your mood, your frequency, your aura, what would that be? Like somebody out there that's listening, gratitude
journal. It's the easiest thing. It's the easiest thing to start off with. And why? Is because the second you start a gratitude journal, like studies have shown, you increase your positive mood by 25%. If we're talking about previously that 80% of success is psychology and 20% is mechanics. If I'm able to do something that's going to increase 25% my happiness rate, which is going to increase my psychology, you have a higher percentage of chance of doing that prospecting call. It's so easy. And I can give you a bunch of lists. You're asking one, but like,
all right, let's keep on going.
I would kind of stick.
I mean, the theory between a gratitude journal is what am I grateful for? I'm grateful because I have a nice house here in Las Vegas. I'm grateful because I am able to go to the gym every day and work out at Lifetime Fitness. And it's not the cheapest gym, but it's amazing to work out at. I'm grateful. Is that kind of the theory behind? And because so many of us are busy complaining, right? Like, oh, gas prices are higher. I'm like, okay, well, think about the people that are dying in other countries and things. It's, like people are always going to the negative and nobody's ever, writing why they're grateful. Like, hey, listen, we have pretty good lives.
So that's exactly, like, you kind of hit something on the nail. Like being North American right now, we're in this capitalistic world, and it's perfectly okay. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a capital. I just believe in capitalism with empathy. That's a whole other subject. But here's the thing. It's completely okay to want more. You want a bigger house? Fine. You want more? Go get it. You want a different car? Go get it. But before just looking at what you want, take a step back and look at what you already have. Because there was a period in time that you were craving to have what you have right now. So don't oversee that. Highlight it. There was a time that I was working my face off to get on these amazing podcasts such as now. Now I have these booked like legit 2-3 times a week. So I have to actually push them out because I don't have like time within my schedule. There was a time I was working for this. So appreciate every single moment, and then it'll help you get more. That's one thing. Second thing, when it comes to how to go about it and how to structure it and so on and so forth, 100%, Beau, is exactly like you said. You have to look at what you have, like, hey, the workout, this, that, and the other. Another thing I would suggest you guys to do is take care of your mind and body connection. Like you said, you go to the gym, go for a walk, whatever the case is. It's extremely important to take care of that because it diminishes the pressure. It increases your cortisol level. It increases your serotonin level, which is all things that are positive and give you awesome energy. So I would give you those two top things, which is gratitude and do any type of physical activity. And walking could be a physical activity, depending where you are within your journey of health.
That's amazing information. Now, Christopher, where can people find more about you? Where do you want people to follow you at? Can you give us some your best contact place and where you want people to watch and follow you? And then closing words of wisdom.
So first of all, Beau, thank you very much. Truly appreciate this. I think the best way to reach out to me, if you are a top-end entrepreneur that is succeeding, but you really want to go to the next level, maybe you're struggling with a bit of work-life balance, time management, you have a lack of finances, lack of confidence, or X, Y, and Z to really go to that next level, contact me and my team. We'll definitely see if there's somewhere that we could potentially collaborate if you'll be fit for one of my programs. The best way to contact me would be on my website, dedeyanenterprises.com. If not, on every single social media, I'm there with my team at Christopher Dedeyan, And the main one, if you guys want to know a bit more about me and see what I teach, what I talk about, my YouTube channel is a great vehicle for that. My Instagram channel as well, and my LinkedIn. So those are the main platforms that I utilize. Obviously, I have a podcast. Obviously, I have X, Y, and Z. I'm pretty much everywhere with my team, but those would be the best way to go about it.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate you joining the show. Although we're geared towards like real estate investing and business, this is a core, probably the biggest thing we need to first attack in order to up level. And I know personally, like I battle with the whole, productivity, high performance mindset stuff is really the biggest piece to moving up whatever you want to move up, whether that's owning more rental properties or, selling more houses or even just leaving your W-2 job and starting your own business, right? Because it's all going to take a little bit of strength and courage from within. So this is very relevant information. That's why I mix in, usually we're talking to real estate investors and all this stuff, but it's really good to get a viewpoint from somebody in the personal development space because it's so critical, people. And you heard Christopher talking about how he usually reads 2 or 3 books at a time. People are, it's all about the personal development. It's all about the ongoing learning and all that good stuff. And that's why I really love to interview great guests like yourself. So really appreciate you joining us. Thanks so much.
Well, thank you very much. And brother, one last thing that you said over there, I truly love that because actually a lot of my clientele are in the real estate space because they realize what you just said right there. And once they start working in one of my programs, they become so much more efficient, which brings them so much more sales, so much more opportunities, and so much more money and just abundance. So, I mean, if any way, shape, or form I can support you and your team, don't hesitate at all.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And thanks everybody for joining us on another show. Please like and subscribe so we can bring on more and more great guests and provide more value for everyone. Thanks so much.